welcome back everybody to another review. Today we're going to be talking about Sean Byrne's newest horror slasher movie called Dangerous Animals. Now, I'm a fan of Sean Byrne, but I was always late to the game on him. I heard of people talking about a movie called The Devil's Candy, which came out in like 2015, and that's one I immediately went and checked out, and I loved it. If you've not seen The Devil's Candy, I highly recommend it. It is so good. And he had one that came out a couple years prior to that called The Loved Ones that I was so late to see. I kept wanting to see it and see it and see it. Finally, I bought the Blu-ray and I finally watched it. It is also really good. And both are these psychological movies. One is more of like The Loved Ones is more of like this crazy stalker type movie, and The Devil's Candy has more of a supernatural element. Both movies are fantastic. If you have not seen either one of them, I highly recommend checking out both of them. So excited that he's back today with another film. And this is a pretty unique movie. This is a movie about essentially this serial killer who uses his like tour thing, whatever you want to call it, like his tour guide exhibit to swim with sharks to essentially kill people using sharks. And I thought this movie was really good. It has almost like this element to it of it's more of a thriller, and it's really like a bottleneck thriller because you're really stuck in one location. So essentially, once you only come to like back to different locations maybe twice, maybe throughout the whole movie, maybe three times, and it's real quick and it ain't nothing major. But essentially, once these girls are abducted, they're essentially on this boat, and you essentially spend probably 90% of the time on the boat. So it turns into like this really close quarters bottleneck thriller. And I think the acting in all this is really good. Jai Courtney, I know, and a lot of people is not a big fan of him, but there's certain stuff I've seen him in that I really enjoyed him in, and this type of role is perfect for him. He absolutely chews the scenery in this, no pun intended, but he gives everything he's got. I think he steals all the scenes that he's in. He's so good, and he's very believable. You buy him as like almost like this psychopathic person that's obsessed with sharks, and you're honestly scared of him because he's got that nature of him where he can be really nice and jokey with you, and all of a sudden he can just snap in a minute and it's over. So he does a very good job, so I commend him for that. Really, really good. Our lead final girl, if you will, in this movie is played by a girl named Hassie Harrison. I've never seen her in anything else, but I really enjoyed her in this movie. I thought she's strong. She's the type of final girl who's not putting up with any shit, and she's going to fight back and kick your ass. And I really like that because especially somebody like to go toe to toe with Jai Courtney. Jai Courtney's a really like built dude, so like to have somebody like that willing to go toe to toe with him, I thought it added this whole other dynamic to the movie, and I love the final girls who are just like what, fuck you, I'm gonna kick your. I'm getting out of this one way or another. One of the things I really liked about this movie is you got to see a lot of the water and islands of Australia. I absolutely love Australia. It's a place that I've always wanted to go and visit, and I hope maybe by some miracle one day I can and will. But I love it over there. I just think it looks incredible, and getting to see Australia for 90 minutes of this was honestly worth it to me. I think the pacing of this movie is very good as well. It's a very tight knit like 90 minutes, and you really feel a lot of tension throughout this movie. There is one scene in particular where one of the guys is looking for uh, our final girl, looking for her, and when he gets on the boat and he's in a race of time of trying to get to her before Jai Courtney gets back on the boat. That was a really tense scene. Yeah, very tense, very edge of your seat, and keeps you very invested in what's going to happen. Which goes to something I always say in these reviews. I'm happy these are some characters that you care about. I mean, we obviously don't know a lot about these characters because it's a very tight knit movie, but you see these little sprinkles of like Jai Courtney's character here and there of stuff that he's done. Obviously, he's been doing this for quite a while, and so you get a little bit of him. But when it comes to killers and serial killers, when it comes to like that in movies, I don't really want to know much about their backstory because I like them as this, you know, anonymous person. Like, you don't know why they're doing what they're doing. Maybe they're just nuts. Maybe it's because of this. It's like, who knows? But I just think that makes their character even scarier and way more intriguing than when I have an entire backstory laid out in front of me. Now, as for our final girl, you get a little bit of stuff sprinkled of her throughout her, throughout this movie, of like her background and like her parents and why she's in Australia and stuff like that. And it's not a lot, but it's enough to where you still care about her. Like, you still want her to succeed. You still want her to get out of the situation. She's not there just to be another victim. And, it's one where you're like, a lot of these slashers, like I've said before, I don't know if I'd call this a slasher. It feels like a slasher, but I guess it would be, but it doesn't feel like a traditional slasher. It's like a new take on a slasher movie, which is a really cool thing. But most of the time in like slasher movies, you're rooting for the killer because all the characters they're just there to be cannon fodder. They're literally there just to be killed. And occasionally you will get some movies where you do care about, if not just the final girl, you care about all the characters. And this one does a very good job where you care about literally all of them. Like, you care about even the guy that she's romantically involved with. Just a little bit about him, but it's enough to where when more stuff becomes involved with him, you're still invested. You still want to see this guy get out. You want to see him help her succeed. You want to see them both get out and all that good stuff. And I like right when you have really well written characters like that, where you do give a crap, because it invests you for the rest of the movie. It makes you care about the rest of the movie. I think a lot of the kills in this movie are very good. There's honestly not a lot of them. There a few here and there, but there's really not a lot. Like, so don't expect like a big, over the top, a ton of kills going into this movie. But at the same time, also the kills, they're not as brutal as you would expect for being like a shark movie. The way that it's kind of shot and the way they go about certain things, it kind of masks some of that, which is fine because this is a movie that didn't choose to go the Carnage Candy route, which you really can, especially when it's something that involves sharks. So, but with that being said, it's still very effective in the way that it's done. It kind of works in their favor the way that they do it, and it kind of when it gets and it does a good job of building to those moments when you get to see the sharks and the stuff that Jai Courtney's doing, because you have all this tension built in between that when you finally get to the moments with the sharks, you finally get that payoff. And I think it was a satisfying payoff for the most part when you see the stuff with the sharks. And then they just do a great job of keep building that tension that leads to these kills and leads to these set pieces with the sharks and the stuff that Jai Courtney's doing. So I thought it was really, really well done in that regard. Now, I've seen a lot of people online say that this is really the best shark movie they've seen in a long time. I know Deep Blue Sea and Jaws are like the, high standards. Obviously, Jaws is the, god tier of shark movies. And then, a lot of people love Deep Blue Sea. A lot of people really like The Shallows. I know some people didn't. I thought The Shallows was pretty good. I enjoyed The Shallows. And I do like this movie. I know they come out with these D-list shark movies probably every year. They go straight to DVD at Walmart or straight to VOD, and some of them are just, I'm like, wow. I haven't seen a lot of them, but I don't really gravitate towards shark movies a lot, so that's probably why I try to avoid them. So maybe it just depends. I'd probably check them out depending on the audience I was with, but this is a really good one. It's kind of in that B category, but it's a really solid movie. It's one that you could easily sit through and really enjoy yourself and have a great thrill ride along the way. Something we've seen before? Yeah. I mean, sure, but it adds a certain different flavor to it because it is cool that I've never heard of a serial killer that uses sharks as his method of killing. I think that's a really cool, new, unique thing that they've brought. Now, there might be another movie out there that does this, and if that's the case, please let me know, because I've never heard of one. I thought that added a really cool flavor to something that that we've seen a lot, and obviously the story's nothing new, but you don't care. It's just a fun thrill ride. It's just a fun, tight 90 minutes. And you're, like I said, you're on board with the characters enough to where you're like, I'm having fun with this. I can rock with this for 90 minutes. I think depending on who you are is how you'll determine how you like this movie. I think if you have a love for shark movies in general, even if you really really love some of the bad ones, like the ones I just talked about a minute ago with the D-list style that, I think you'll really enjoy this movie because it obviously the quality is really up there. And if you love the cheesiness of those movies or the downright campiness of those movies, I think that'll be something for you that you'll really enjoy about this movie. Not that it's really campy or anything, but it knows what type of movie it is, and it doesn't try to take itself way too seriously. And I think that just adds more to the movie, and it gets you're able to get something more out of it with that. But I did see where a lot of people, they didn't really care for this movie, which I thought for me was odd because, like I said, I liked it, and I'm not a big shark movie person, but like I said, I guess it depends on your tastes and what you prefer, and maybe this didn't work for you for those particular reasons, or people thought it was boring or dull or whatever the case. But I think if you're a big shark person, you'll really enjoy it because it's just a better quality movie of the thousands of terrible shark movies that come out on a that we get on a yearly basis. So this film, it did get a limited release in theaters. It is going to be on Shudder sometime in July, I do believe. So if you don't have Shudder, now's a good time to get Shudder. This is not sponsored in any way by Shudder, but they're a really cool streaming service, have really good movies, and they have decent prices for their. It was like $5 a month. I think it's 7 or 8 or 10 now. I can't remember, but I have Shudder. I really enjoy it. Some of their movies, their originals, are really out there. I have to admit that some of the originals are out there, But other than that, this is one that's going to be on there. The one movie I reviewed a couple months ago called The Rule of Jenny Penn. That one is on there now currently. And a lot of these Shudder movies, I'm so happy they're getting theatrical releases because it gives somebody an opportunity to actually go see one of these movies on the big screen. And honestly, watching something on the big screen can easily determine stuff for a movie. Like if you watch it at home, sometimes it don't have the same effect. And this was a good one to see on the big screen. I enjoyed it. So if it is still playing near you, and you guys are looking for like a fun, real like just a good thriller, I would highly recommend checking this one out. This one's a lot of fun. So I'm curious to see what Sean Byrne does next. It's been 10 years since Between the Devil's Candy and this movie. So I hope he's able to, whatever he comes out with next, I'm there for. Like I said in the beginning, if you have not checked out his other two movies, The Loved Ones and The Devil's Candy, I highly recommend checking both those out. Both very good movies, very solid. And this is just a nice little addition to his filmography that I really enjoy. So he's 3 for 3 for me. I've really enjoyed all his stuff. But that's my review of Dangerous Animals. If you've seen the movie and if you liked it or hated it, please comment below and just let me know why. Let's talk about it. And if this is the first video you're finding me on, please come over and check out all my other 2025 reviews so far. I'll leave a little card on one of these sides for which I can never remember what side it is. I'll leave a card up there for you guys. Please, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And so that way I can see you guys in the next one. So thank you so much.